Boom. Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about the extreme volatility that we are currently seeing in the crypto markets as we kick off a new week. A little rip and dip action as we come out of a very exciting weekend, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. So, of course, we will be taking a look at the chart today. We'll also read over a couple of articles as well to hopefully develop an understanding of the fundamental catalyst behind this volatility. So, let's get straight into it. As always, we'll quickly go over the topics we'll be discussing, and then we'll dive in. All right, so in front of us, the usual trading view, where we will be talking technicals and price targets, sticking solely to short to medium term time frames, maybe a week out max. But we are going to be kicking it off with who else but the king, Bitcoin. In the past week, seeing almost a 40% price increase to its high earlier today, before once again dipping following the ripping. So we will be kicking it off with Bitcoin, move on to Ether. The only two cryptos are going to be the two kings, king of the cryptos and king of the altcoins. Move on to Ethereum after that, also seeing some promising price action. And then we'll move into the crypto equities, which we all knew were going to absolutely take off today. Unfortunately, in the wake of Bitcoin pulling back, these are all down in after hours. So just disclaimer there. I'm sure many of you guys are already aware of that. But we'll kick it off with the two Bitcoin miners, the OG, the king and queen, Riot and Mara. So Riot Blockchain and Marathon Digital, both closing the day up over 20%. Absolutely insane. Again, both down in after hours trading, unsurprisingly, but also unsurprisingly kicking off this trading week with some very, very exciting price action. And then we will touch on the absolute dark horse, that is BTBT or Bit Digital. This thing over 2x in a single day, up 109%. This one, of course, is down the most in after hours trading today. That's also unsurprising, but over like a 2x in a single day is absolutely insane. I've held a small position in Bit Digital for a long time, and this is the exact scenario where obviously a small position can go a very long way. So we will be taking a look at BTBT on the charts to close it out, talking to Bitcoin miners, and then once again kicking it off with the OGs that are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Because again, the whole sector, like there's obviously Chainlink is exciting, EOS is exciting, Cardano, XRP, all the names are exciting, but these are the ones we're going to cover today because I feel like they're the most relevant to the channel at this point, okay? So those are the names, once again, we will be covering technicals on. In terms of news, what are, once again, the fundamental catalysts for this price action that we're currently seeing? This is the main suspect, and this is also the suspect, as we'll see after this headline, that is responsible for the little dip that we're seeing. Okay, so Amazon plans to accept Bitcoin payments this year, claims insider. Quote, "It begins with Bitcoin," an anonymous insider said in describing Amazon's intent to enter the cryptocurrency payments arena. This is what was responsible for this huge move up that we saw on Sunday. Insane watching this. This is to blame, this insider. But unfortunately, this insider wasn't all that much on the inside because this just came out today. This is the 25th, 26th. Today, Amazon denies report of accepting Bitcoin as payment. So an Amazon representative directly came out, made some statements, pretty much denied this claim. And if you guys followed this piece of news, if you guys read into it, which again, we will as we dive into the articles, seems a little sus. Like the insider, just an anonymous insider, the news outlet that they approached with this news was kind of a low-key one. Like you'd think that if you had news like this, then you'd approach like Bloomberg or CNBC or something. So the whole situation was sus. It's unfortunately not all that surprising that Amazon came out and officially denied this. But still, the statements that Amazon made didn't completely discredit Bitcoin. There is kind of a silver lining here, which we will, of course, read into, okay? So that's Bitcoin moves. Then I do want to move into this, which is very, very bullish news for Ethereum, in my opinion, but also objectively if all goes accordingly, okay? So CoinDesk, very well-written article. I'll shout out to the author once we read through it. But crypto long and short, why Ethereum's London upgrade matters, plus the risks and rewards of Ethereum's improvement proposal, EIP 1559, okay? So Ethereum's London hard fork is scheduled to launch on August 4th. This, if all goes accordingly, once again, is a very, very positive sign for the Ethereum network and the technology underlying Ethereum moving forward for the long term, just from an absolute fundamental, I guess, technically fundamental perspective, okay? So we'll read over this. This is a little bit lengthy, but if you guys are invested in Ethereum currently, I'm very heavily invested in Ethereum at the moment. A lot of you know that Ether is my dog in the race at this point as opposed to Bitcoin. Obviously still hold Bitcoin, still love Bitcoin, will always love Bitcoin, it will always be the OG, but at this point I personally see Ether as a more attractive bet, short, medium, and long term, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so we'll read through this article. We'll kick it off with these two articles, just again, establish that fundamental understanding of what's going on here, dive into Bitcoin, talk Bitcoin on the charts, read over this this Ether article, and then move into Ether on the charts, and then just close it out with the good old Bitcoin miners, okay? So before we do, I will ask you guys, as always, to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today. Let me know in the comments if you're bullish or bearish right now. It's easy to be bullish when everything's ripping, but again, when you get a piece of news like this, unfortunately, when you see the dip like this, just let me know if you guys are bullish or bearish. And of course, I'll let you guys know as we dive into the charts as well, okay? So that, like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to catch more content like this. And of course, check out the complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description. $15 a month if you guys want a complete breakdown of my entire personal portfolio. All call options, put options, stock positions, crypto positions, of course. And again, you guys, I don't only trade crypto. A lot of you guys know that. If you look at the videos on the channel, we're pretty diversified around here. That's because crypto is only one of the sectors that I'm very excited about at the moment. Like today, Lucid, CCIV went to LCID successfully. Lucid up over 10% today. Super exciting. Made a baggie on that one. And very, very bullish on the EV sector, the space sector, biotechs at times. So if you guys want to know exactly what I'm trading, how I'm trading it, in a complete percentage breakdown, all the positions broken down in percentages of my portfolio, again, check that out down below, along with each daily update. And I do update the portfolio every trading day during market hours. Along with every single update, I send out a comprehensive newsletter and complimentary newsletter, I should say, explaining my thoughts, rationalizing my trades, and letting you guys know why I'm trading the way I'm trading, throwing some charts in there, throwing some price targets in there, and yeah, just letting you guys know anything I think is important. $15 a month, $40 every 3 months. Just if you guys want to just dip your toes, do the $15 a month, of course. And then again, you get the daily breakdown. I do upload the PDF of the daily newsletter every day to the curriculum as well. I do throw all of these in the Discord as soon as I update them. And of course, you guys get the exclusive Sunday stock watch. Yesterday's, I should say, was about half an hour long, very comprehensive. And again, it's if you guys want to get pumped for the week ahead, I did not like revoking the Sunday stock watch from YouTube, but I want you guys to understand that this is ultimately a business. I love the YouTube fam, but I need to. It's my duty to my paying subscribers to give them as many benefits, I should say, as I feel are necessary, and to reward them and make their money worth it. Okay, so again, $15 a month really means a lot if you guys check it out. First link down below, but if not, no worries. As always, let's dive into the charts after these two articles. Okay, so let's figure out what's going on here. An anonymous source within Amazon has reportedly told London business newspaper City AM, so again, who's heard of that the e-commerce giant is planning to start accepting Bitcoin payments by the end of 2021, possibly setting the stage for broader mainstream acceptance of crypto transactions. So again, this is super sus right off the bat. As soon as I heard this, I was like, why would this anonymous source, this could literally be anyone. If it's just an anonymous source, you could literally say anything to anyone as an anonymous source. And I can't imagine London business newspaper City AM probably has the most dedicated research team and vetting team. So I don't know the due diligence they did on this anonymous source, but obviously it wasn't enough. Quote, this isn't just going through the motions to set up cryptocurrency payment solutions at some point in the future. This is a full-on, well-discussed, integral part of the future mechanism of how Amazon will work, the source told City AM, according to a report published on Sunday. The source indicated that while Bitcoin is the first step in Amazon's crypto ambitions, executives at the company were keen to add other established cryptocurrencies in the future. The directive is coming from the very top, referring to Jeff Bezos, they said, adding, quote, this entire project is pretty much ready to roll. So again, if you're deliberately trying to pump Bitcoin, this is exactly how you do it. Like claim one of the largest companies in the world, one of the most profitable companies in the world, is planning on accepting Bitcoin payments. Name drop Jeff Bezos and Bitcoin in the same sentence, in the same headline. You're probably going to pump Bitcoin if enough people believe it. But unfortunately, again, Amazon denies reports of accepting Bitcoin as payment. So what happened? On Monday, Amazon denied a media report saying the e-commerce giant was looking to accept Bitcoin payments by the end of the year. The report from London City AM newspaper, citing an unnamed insider, sent the world's biggest cryptocurrency up as much as 14.5% before it obviously, again, a little dippy. Notwithstanding, quote, Notwithstanding our interest in the space, the speculation has ensued around our specific plan for cryptocurrency is not true, said a spokesperson from Amazon. Quote, we remain focused on exploring what this could look like for customers shopping on Amazon. So again, they're not saying there's no chance we'd ever involve ourselves in the cryptocurrency space. It actually sounds pretty promising over the course of the future. Amazon, of all companies in the world, the reason that they've become the company they are today is because they've adapted to the times, they're forward looking, and they listen to their customers. So obviously if enough customers, they'll have some like high tier analytics kind of probably running A/B testing on this. But if they find that their customers want to use crypto and are interested in crypto, then it's very likely to me that, considering once again Amazon is a very customer caring company, that they're probably going to involve crypto in their payment rails at some point in time. Okay, so that is what happened here, just kind of in a nutshell. So again, you guys, always be careful what news you consume. I don't want to say that newspaper that reported this, like, I don't want to say that they're not hard workers and they didn't think that they didn't vet this guy somewhat. I don't know, but again, just be careful what you read out there, because again, in this case, it was evidently false. Okay, so let's talk technicals now that the fundamentals are out of the way. Again, through a little price range right here on BTC to show you guys from this low over here just on July 20th, 6 days ago at the time of recording, to the high we just saw earlier today at over $40,000. BTC broke 40K. That is almost a 40% price increase in less than a week. So you guys know that this to me is a good sign, and I'm not going to discredit the fact that we couldn't go lower. I will say that 25K is still definitely in the cards. Like, this is still a net bearish trend. As long as straight up we are below about $43,000 at this point in time, this is the line of overall resistance. I'll zoom out right after this to show it to you guys. As long as we are below $43,000, we are still in a technical downtrend. This could very very well be just a nice bounce, just kind of like a short squeeze, good fundamentals, good optics around the crypto space overall that are contributing to a short-term bounce. And then maybe again, I'm not going to say for sure because there's no for sure right now in my mind. There's no for like this is, again, it could just be a bounce, but it also could be a reversal. And again, we'll take a look at this trend line as we zoom out. But shorter term, I think it's very almost guaranteed at this point in time that Bitcoin from a short-term perspective will come down at least to about 34.8, conservatively $35,000, to retest the initial high of this rally before you're seeing this parabolic run up following the Amazon news. So that at least makes sense. I mean Bitcoin, again, even before yesterday's absolute blast off, before the thrusters were straight up initiated and we went parabolic, Bitcoin was seeing some pretty promising price action. So it would make sense that the news that caused this parabolic rally and the fact that news was revoked and disproven would kind of eliminate the gains from that parabolic rally. But I do think we will. So again, I think it's almost inevitable that we come down to at least $35,000 over the next 24 hours. At that point, maybe we go sideways a little bit. I'm not going to say that, again, if we break below this. So if we get below like $33,000, pretty much if we get below, okay, so if we get below 34.5 and just set a lower high here, because obviously high, low, higher high, higher low, this is kind of just stair steps. If we do break, I will say 33.5. If we break 33.5 to the downside, it's pretty likely to me that we do just continue the overall downtrend. But if we establish a low around 35, like again, 34.77, $35,000 conservatively, go sideways for a little bit, I think it's likely that we come up here to test the overall line of resistance. Okay, so let's zoom out here a little bit, take a look at this overall trend line. Go to the daily, just because it makes zooming out easier. So again, this right here is the line of resistance on the overall downtrend. Touch point, first touch point, April 14th, Bitcoin's all-time high at almost $65,000. Two touch points right here on its way down early May. That creates the line of resistance on the longer-term downtrend, on the overall downtrend. And that's why $43,000 is currently my upside price target. Now, Bitcoin will inevitably see some resistance there because it's a very strong line of resistance. All traders, and Bitcoin is a very heavily traded asset. That's why you see so much volatility and volume as well, just come like that. all traders are going to be looking at this as will definitely act as resistance. So I would personally be looking for a daily closure above $43,000 at this point to actually flip me bullish and give me reason to believe that we will see more elongated upside. But until we see that, I have to believe from a technical perspective that this is just a bounce. Again, not unlikely to me at all that we come up to about $43,000. Of course, very dependent on when this trend line is tested. If it's early August 4th, that would bring us to like 41.6. Okay, so of course, because this is a steep line of resistance, that's that strike or the break point as far as price target is concerned will be varying on the date that it is stricken. Okay. So as always, you guys go into TradingView for yourself, draw these trend lines for yourself, especially if you're trading these assets, and just stay on your toes, you guys, okay? Because volatility is coming back. I love to see the volume coming in. The waves are moving in, and yeah, volume is always a good step. And again, if this volume keeps up, that's like the thing like right now on this daily, like today so far, I mean, the day just started, so I can't reference much here, but volume is definitely slowing down now that things are selling off, okay? So I would like to see kind of this organic volume come back, but we do need to see volume if we want to see anything close to the price action that we saw a few months ago. Okay, so again, short term, I do think it's inevitable. Not inevitable. I would put the chances at a solid 95% that we come down to about $35,000, maybe go sideways, and then depending on if we break down below 33.5 or above, or if we go flat and we make our way back up, I think it's pretty damn likely that, again, we make our way to $43,000. And at that point, we will cross that bridge when it comes to it, because I'll probably make another crypto-related video if we shoot up to 43K. All right, so that's Bitcoin. Let's move on to Ether in the past hour. So this chart recycled. It's currently 3:50. Chart recycles at 2 p.m. Hawaii time. So hour 50 minutes. Ether is down 2.5% from its high rate here. Let's see. Let's take a look at Ether's price range. Okay, so again, we will read over the article first, really establish those strong fundamentals. It's a pretty lengthy article, so we will read through that. But again, if you guys are holding Ether, I'm personally holding Ether, so I think it's important. I imagine you guys are as well. I think it's very, very important to understand if, again, you are an investor in Ether, especially from a long-term perspective, okay? So quickly, let's do a price range. So right, so Ether actually over 40%, so 41% in the past week. You'll love to see that, you guys. Ether breaking out of its line of resistance on a longer term downtrend, very bullish as well. And Ether actually is currently below my price target, but it's also still setting a higher low. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself on the technicals right now. Let's read over this and then we'll dive into the charts. And then again, from then on, it's going to be all charts as we talk in the Bitcoin miners. So long and shorts, why Ethereum's London upgrade matters. Shout out Christine Kim. That's actually my auntie's name. So shout out Christine Kim. I have to imagine that's a fairly common name, but I do love my Auntie Christine. So shout out this author, because this is a very well written, very eloquent article. In T-minus 10 days, again, August 4th, you guys, the Ethereum blockchain will undergo its 11th backward incompatible upgrade, also called a hard fork. This hard fork, dubbed London, contains 5 Ethereum improvement proposals, or EIPs, each featuring code changes aimed at optimizing and improving the world's second largest cryptocurrency by market cap. One of these 5 EIPs, EIP 1559, has been the most controversial among Ethereum stakeholders due to its radical redesign of the network's free market fee market fee. Today, briefing features an edited excerpt from CoinDesk Research's latest report, The Investment Implications of EIP 1559, that explains the risk and reward dynamics of this code change for investors. Rewards. One of the most common arguments against Ethereum as a store of value is its unbounded coin supply. Bitcoin, the world's first largest cryptocurrency, has a prescribed and capped supply schedule, that fuels an important part of its narrative with investors as digital gold. Again, you guys, I've said this so many times in the past. Bitcoin is digital gold. It's absolutely scarce. It's capped at 18 million pretty much. It is actually capped at like 21 million. But it's more likely that the 19 million is the cap, because so much has been lost over the course of time. Okay, so regardless, Bitcoin, absolutely scarce asset, which makes it valuable because it is absolutely scarce. Fun fact, said this a lot too, but this is probably my funnest Bitcoin fact. There is not enough Bitcoin for every single millionaire in the world to own one. Okay, so that's, again, just fun fact. You do with that knowledge what you will. While EIP 1559 does not introduce a Bitcoin-like supply cap on ETH, it does activate a mechanism to curb total supply growth over time by taking a variable amount of ETH out of circulation each time a transaction is executed, or called burning. Simulations of EIP 1559 as soon as June 8th suggest the activation of EIP 1559 over the trailing 365 days would have burned a total of 2.9 million ETH for a net reduction of 76% in Ether supply growth over that period. So again, you guys can screenshot this if you want. I'm not going to go into the specifics of this, but just take a look. Again, over time, you just burn more and more ETH, which obviously supply and demand 101. If you burn it, it becomes more scarce. In addition to creating a Bitcoin-like narrative of limited supply to ETH, EIP 1559 is expected to improve transaction wait times and remove fee market uncertainty that damp developer and user adoption of dApps. So pretty much, this is good from every angle. It makes it more rare, and it makes the actual block, like the efficiency and speed of the blockchain of transactions that much smoother. Okay. Finally, EIP 1559 is expected to solidify Ether's role as a form of payment for using Ethereum's computing resources and interacting with the network's broad system of dApps by requiring payments of the transaction fees on the network to be exclusively paid in the network's native cryptocurrency, which is obviously Ether. Also very bullish, but there are, of course, risks that come with everything. So any technology upgrade comes with risk. And the most salient risk proposed by EIP 1559 comes with its proposed changes to the reward dynamics and payouts to miners who face reduced earnings for their work with the activation of EIP 1559. Instead of pocketing 100% of transaction fees, miners will only receive tips from users through an optional inclusion fee paid electively by users seeking priority for their transactions. Changing reward dynamics on its own won't affect Ethereum's ability to process blocks or computations, which is good. There is potential, however, for disgruntled miners to leave the network, sabotage it, or start a competing chain. If a large share of Ethereum miners exit or revolt, block times and network security would be negatively affected. Okay, so pretty much EIP 1559, controversial. I can imagine if I was a large-scale Ethereum miner, if I already have all the rigs, if I have everything in place, this sucks for you. And again, if you happen to be even a smaller Ethereum miner, if you mine Ethereum at all, then this is a bummer. Again, because if you are going to get paid now, it's an elected tip, which I have to imagine is going to be a pretty solid pay cut. But as far as the network itself, as far as the technology underlying Ether, every aspect of EIP 1559 is very, very bullish. Again, especially from a long-term perspective. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, very bullish. This hard fork has been in talks. Again, changing to proof of stake over proof of work is so crucial for Ethereum. Again, just from the perspective that it makes it more rare. And the more rare it is, let's say this one more time, close it out with this, supply and demand 101. The more rare something is, likely the more valuable it will become, okay? So that's Ether. Let's talk price action now that I'm personally fundamentally bullish on Ether. Again, August 4th, less than 10 days out, about a week out at this point. So very, very exciting, and it will be super interesting to see how that impacts the price of Ethereum. So right now, short term, again, Ether over the past 7 days to its high earlier today, up over 40%. Since then, falling off the cliff in the wake of Bitcoin and the overall crypto market doing pretty poorly, following this, following people realizing that this news was fake. But still looking bullish, still setting a higher low as long as Ether short term is above $2,100. I'll say we are technically still setting that higher low on the current uptrend, especially considering we are following a breakout. Okay, so in all honesty, I will say that let's go to the daily here. Daily, please load. Okay, so Ether, again, line of resistance very evident, kicking it off June 7th. Current downtrend going flat for a while. This touch point here, creating the line of resistance on what is a more short to medium term downtrend, not the overall line of resistance, but it's very bullish. Obviously, we saw a breakout following the break of resistance short term, and I think it's pretty likely, in all honesty, if Ether does not fall below, let's just say 2150 to play it safe, that it will be on its way up here to about $2,900 over the coming weeks to test the previous line of support and use it as new resistance. So previous support on the overall uptrend. This is a very, very strong line of support here, and that's why I feel like it'll come into play as well as a strong line of resistance. TO 101, previous support becomes new resistance, and vice versa. Touch point here, touch point here, touch points over here. You see a few candle wicks below this, but overall there are the most touch points and solid candle closures, especially on the daily, right above this level. So I do consider this to be the strongest trend line. Again, like discounting these small candle wicks. Okay, so upside right now on this pullback, I'm pretty if in all honesty, if Ether comes down to about $2,100, it would still test, as I just said, it would test that previous resistance as new support once again. It will at the same time set a lower low, which might trigger like a bear trap almost, because you will see a lower low on the current uptrend. But at the same time, if it does successfully bounce off this, like if it closes way over here, then we will just be back in a downtrend. But if we do see this previous resistance once again act as new support, go sideways a little bit, I still think it's very likely, especially once again with this hard fork coming up in a week or so, that we do see more upside. Okay, so upside target for Ether, if all goes accordingly over time, August 8th, give the hard fork a few days to set in. I don't know if it's going to be the buy the hype, sell the news event, or buy the hype, buy the news event. Whatever. If it goes accordingly, I can see it being a buy the hype, buy the news event. If something goes wrong, then Ether will probably fall off a cliff, in all honesty. Okay, so once again, upgrades like this and in newer technologies are always risky, but I have a lot of faith in the dev team over at Ethereum and the fact that this will go smoothly, and therefore I think there's more upside ahead. Okay, so I do think Ether could break $2,900 over the next week or so, and it will be exciting to see how that plays out. All right, so let's move on to Riot, Mara, and BTBT. So Riot, talked about this on the Sunday Stock Watch yesterday. It was very seeing how Bitcoin performed, obviously, on Sunday, it was almost impossible to me that Riot would have seen any red, and exactly on the contrary, we saw a lot of green. So at the same time that Riot gapped up, it gapped straight above two very, very significant lines of resistance. The first is a shorter term line of resistance on a very, very stark downtrend beginning at the end of June, and the second is a very, very significant line of resistance that is Riot's overall line of resistance on its long-term downtrend from its high back in mid-February. Okay, so this right here is a very significant line of resistance, because again, it's overall resistance, it's a long-term resistance. It's why it's a thick red line. Okay, so Riot gapped above, Riot did gap above short-term resistance as well as long-term resistance today, and it also came up perfectly to bounce off of my initial target line, which again is this previous line of support on Riot's previous uptrend prior to breaking this uptrend. Use this new support perfectly as old support as new resistance. Got two touch points right here, and at this point, because Riot is down after hours, because BTC is also going to be down, I do expect for Riot to see somewhat of a correction. It only makes sense to me for Riot to close out this gap and come to the previous high prior to gapping up like this. That would take Riot down to about $30. Conservative downside price target for Riot is $30, so just over 10% down from where we're at now at $34. I do think if we come down here, again, Bitcoin's going to correct short term. If it bounces back up, because obviously the price action of Riot, Mara, and BTBT, every Bitcoin-related stock, every Bitcoin miner, is ultimately going to kind of follow the footsteps of Bitcoin to some extent, just with a little more volatility as we've observed in the past. Okay, so if Bitcoin corrects, I would not be surprised at all to see Riot come down to about $30. If Bitcoin bounces back up and continues its uptrend, makes its way up to 43K, I think it's completely likely that Riot will come back up here to once again test the same line of resistance. Say this happens August 3rd. If this pans out over the course of the next week or so, this is a very, very stark trend line right here, very steep. So August 3rd, just where this target's landing, that would take us up to about $36. Okay, so again, short term, it's as likely as it was that Riot was going to see green today, it's equally as likely that we are going to see red tomorrow. But again, corrections present opportunities. If you guys are optimistic on Bitcoin, if you guys think this rally is officially reigniting, then that might be a good time to consider bagging up on Riot, Mara, and BTBT. So let's talk about Mara and then close it out with BTBT. Mara, a little different. Mara, from a technical perspective, looks a little better. Again, because Bitcoin is going down, I imagine Mara will close this gap as well. Price target for Mara would be about $26, $25.74. You guys can see all these right here. But conservatively, $26 on the downside, retest that initial high, and yeah, maybe make its way up. But again, it's completely dependent on whether or not Bitcoin performs. So upside targets for Mara, and again, Mara has a larger Bitcoin reserve than Riot. So a lot of times Mara, when we actually like ignite the rally, Mara will be a little more closely related to Bitcoin, but at the same time, Mara has more shares, so you do see a little less volatility, because Riot, again, the more shares you have, the less volatility you will see just by the nature of the stock. So regardless, Riot's still my horse in the race. Riot will always be my horse in the race, just from a sentimental perspective. Mara, though, technically does currently look better. because it has not yet previously tested, or it has not yet tested previous support as a new resistance. Okay, so again, touch point here on this beautiful ascending channel prior to breaking below it. It would make sense to me that Mara comes up here again, maybe after a correction, recent high, on its way back up, I'll say, if granted Bitcoin does continue its rally upside to $43,000. I think that Mara, where the cruise is falling, August 4th, if we do retest previous support as a new resistance, that would take us up to about $34. Okay, so again, little correction, bounce up if Bitcoin continues to bounce as well. And again, we'll follow along, we'll cross these bridges when and if we come to them. So BTBT, this is insane. First things first here, look at this volume. This every time I see volume like this, like a volume spike like this, and even as we move out, even at BTBT's previous all-time high, and BTBT has seen a stark correction. Okay, so actually, BTBT, it's like a tough one. Bit has seen over an 87% correction from its high back in mid-February, or actually at the beginning of January. Okay, so from its high at the beginning of January to its low just a few days ago, just last week. Okay, so over an 87, almost 88% correction. That is extreme, and the volume that we saw today, even this first 4-hour candle of volume, is more volume than BTBT has seen in its history. Okay, so even back here when it reached its all-time high, we're way above that. Like this candle right here doubled the volume that we saw back here. So this is both bullish and super sus at the same time. Okay, so BTBT, same as Riot, same as Mara. If you guys are watching this on Monday, or if you're watching this on Tuesday, this is probably going to see a pretty significant pullback because, again, the crypto markets are seeing a pullback. So I do think we'll pull back here in terms of price targets because, again, volume like this is good. It brings a lot of eyeballs. BTBT was front page of Robinhood as one of the top movers, which obviously brings in all the little day traders, all the Davy day traders. So be super careful with BTBT right now. This will probably see a correction. But again, because eyeballs are on it, because there's probably going to get some traders, because this will definitely get a lot of new investors in the case that BTC does rip. Its market cap is significantly smaller than that of Riot and Mara at just over $200 million. So stay on your feet, guys. This is going to see a lot of volatility, especially if this volume continues, because again, this volume is sketchy. But again, volume is good. The volatility is a feature, not a bug, I'm sorry, because this volume brings eyeballs to the stock, and especially with a market cap this small, a little bit can go a very, very long way in terms of affecting the share price. Exact example today, okay? So I do think we'll see a pullback if we do see a stark pullback. I don't think it's likely that we test this initial high. I will say that I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback down to this area right here at about 575, which to price range from current levels would be about a 35% pullback. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But if that happens, then I might honestly consider picking up. I don't know about calls because their calls are probably super overpriced right now and super flooded. I don't know if I pick up calls, but I would definitely personally consider picking up shares if we do see a correction this stark. Obviously, you can go with this area over here. This will act as something as well. So right here is another level to keep an eye on. This is a lot less, obviously a lot less significant, but I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow, at the very least, we see a 16 or 17% correction. Okay, so keep an eye on this one, you guys. Again, stay on your toes. I do love to see the volume coming back, but it also makes for a little riskier waters, for rougher waters. So again, stay on your toes, stay strong, and let me know what you think about everything we talked about in the comments. So I'll catch you guys downstairs, talk some shop. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.